Laura Mercurio. Thank you very much for joining.
Well, thank you, Sam, for inviting me. And it was a smooth journey, as I said, towards the start of September since we agreed. Thank you to the whole team at ABM Answered.
Yeah, shout out Haja for organising. I'd be lost
Exactly,
without
yes.
her. So, Laura, you are an agency juggernaut. You worked at some huge, great agencies. You've got, I think, believe both B2B, B2C. Well, you must have had exposure to both.
So I
But
am a freelancer at the core.
yeah,
Yeah, I've been in B2B for about over 22 years, and in ABM for over 15. But I wouldn't divide them as a separation kind of thing, because ABM was ABM before it was ABM, and there was a way to do ABM before it became ABM. So yes, quite a few years.
well, that was going to be my question, and I'm glad you opened with that because we could elephant in the room there. Great, yes, ABM to me is just good marketing. It's been around for years, and they've just slapped an acronym on it. That said, ABM Answered flowed better than like the good marketing podcast. So anyway, that's why we called it that. But Laura, if you're ready, we're gonna
Yes,
jump into a couple of challenges from the community.
yes.
And challenge one came in from Mustafa Chowdhury, really, really smart man. He asked, what is the most actionable data for your use cases that translate directly to tactics or programs, directly into your tactics or programs? So I think from here, he's looking for
Yes.
information around, like, is it people that have just started new jobs? Have they raised funding? Like, what kind of bits of data are important to you?
So if we are talking about data for the ABM strategy, I have a little bit of a holy grail that I go to for myself. Basically, things that take me to tactics or program scenarios and that I use every day and I would like to use every day. You can't always use the same because you work with different clients. But anyway, it's an integrated kind of insight or intent engagement, firmographic, stakeholders, roles, pipeline status, and also combine them together so that you can inform targeted, personalized ABM tactics and imagine personalized customer journeys and content journeys, multi-channel outreach, sales enablement tools. Yes, I think that to drive conversions and revenue growth, these are the main ones I actually go to.
Nice, superb. And what we're going to do, I think, off the back of that, we can unpack that with the next kind of questions coming up. So, challenge two came in from Gabriella Sellers. So, Gabriella, EY have a phenomenal ABM. They call it marketing excellence, I think, but it's arguably the best marketing motion for a large company I've ever seen. But her question is around how can ABM teams in large, complex organizations adopt a small business mindset to stay innovative and impactful? And I think some of these, they call them intrapreneurs, don't they, in some organizations? It's
Yeah.
like, but yeah, what's your response to that?
Yes, I think three main things. So embracing agility, embracing customer centricity, and embracing entrepreneurial thinking at the same time. You could be surprised, but many organizations do not really have a customer centric strategy in place. One of the big rules of ABM is to actually create value propositions that start from the customer's needs, wants, and triggers and drivers. So I think those three elements, but also like small businesses do, they know their clients really intimately, they know their clients really well, and they develop detailed kind of account insights, account intelligence reports. They have the good kind of relationships built in. And usually in small businesses, marketing and sales are more aligned because it's a natural consequence. But that's what I think, organizations should do. And always think like, just put on your challenger hat on and think about ways that you can actually implement more collaborative tools. I will talk about one of them, I think, in the next question I had it in mind. And not only thinking about sales and marketing alignment, but also thinking about alignment with other teams like the product team, the partnership team, the customer success team. I think that kind of wire of communication should be in place.
Sure, you've answered so much there. I feel like I can nitpick like four different avenues for us to go down. It kind of made me think, though, that just even the first thing you said about like starting with the customer centric problems, almost thinks if any, well, it's vice versa. If you're a successful startup founder, you're probably likely going to be good at ABM. But likewise, if you're good at ABM and starting with these customer centric problems, you'd probably make a good startup founder, because I feel like a lot of startup founders come up with ideas before they come up with solving the actual problem. And that's really kind of what it is ultimately. Anyway, that was a little side tangent. But great
Yeah, yes,
response.
that's true.
Challenge three came in from Mason Cosby. So over at Scrappy ABM, they're a great agency.
Yeah, by the way,
And he asked,
let me say, thanks for the questions. They're
sure.
all great. And I will not mention them by name, but thank you. They're all great questions to anybody that comes.
Oh, wonderful. No, we could mention them by name because I feel like
Okay.
they've publicly on the record mentioned it. So,
Okay.
yeah, we've had Mustafa's, Gabriella's, and Mason's now is what
Yes.
would be your $200 a month ABM tech stack? So, not much to play with.
That was a very good, challenging question. When you used to work with enterprises and you have all these big tools at your disposal, you don't think about that. But then you actually find yourself thinking about how to overcome problems when you're away from the client tools. And I think that having visual playbooks and low cost kind of maps that you can orchestrate, such as master messaging frameworks, for example, on the research side, having a good kind of relationship with the Gen AI tool that I only use for research, because being at my age, I need to keep my brain sharp. So I only do research there. I don't reason with AI just yet. Maybe I'll get there. And also leveraging, existing tools. You might have a CRM in place, even a basic one, and use that without paying any extra charges. Or you could use, other similar tools such as LinkedIn Sales Navigator, that has a little bit of a, more kind of contained cost for some smaller businesses, and also project management software, for example, that any company should really have. Yeah, I think you could stay under, maybe not at $200, but under $500 cost.
I mean, that's nothing to big companies anyway, or any company that's running any ABM program
Yeah.
is probably got the budget for that. Well, there we go then, Mason. So, challenge four,
Yes.
we're whizzing through them today. It's superb. All around kind of creativity, similar kind of sentiments came in from Damana Markova, who I actually
Mhm.
used to work with, which is awesome. She's been running her agency for, I think, like a good 5 years now.
Mhm.
And she asked, what's the most creative way you've solved a problem with no budget? So I think she's looking for like a specific case study, or like, yeah, I don't know, the more specific, the better.
Yes, well, it depends on the problem. Some problems can only be transposed into creative ignition, and then you have to work around that. But
Yeah.
I do believe that. So, if I had to talk about a case study, I could tell you that there was a time when there was a situation in which we didn't have any first party data because there was no CRM implemented. There was only, generic kind of first party data collected through web forms and stuff like that. We didn't have any third party data tools, although I do not believe that third party is the holy grail at the moment. But anyway, we didn't have that. And we didn't have any kind of, collaborative data between teams. So it was good to use instead the website forms, the web forms, and the implementing like a light kind of lead gen management system by which we managed to identify some of the data we were after. And at the same time, we looked at tools like Google Analytics, and we looked at, using some platforms that were providing behavioral insights, looking at audience insights, for example. And then we managed to create a value proposition and a messaging framework that was validated once we had the tool in place. And actually, SEMrush was really useful as well.
Shout out to SEMrush. I actually think I've just cancelled my membership with SEMrush, but it's only because I can't use it properly. It's quite a complex tool, so kudos to you, and the team for using that.
Well,
Right.
I come from a content strategy very initial.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah,
So
okay.
I've done content strategy, brand strategy. On the content strategy side, SEMrush has evolved so much. But I'm talking about 10 or 15 years ago, and it was the only tool that actually was, yeah.
Yeah, no, it's an awesome tool. I can't, I couldn't. I think you're right, and it's the same with a lot of these big tools. And you mentioned third party data there as well. There's so much data. I think part of like a good ABMer's job is just figuring out what specific like part of it, what 5% of the tool is actually going to push the needle forward. I don't even think, is it Plato's law, who the 20-80-20 rule or something? I don't even think I believe that with some of these tools. I think literally 5% of the tool holds like 90% of the value, which is insane. But don't quote me on that. I'm probably going to be wrong.
Not,
Um,
not be wrong, actually, because, well, first of all, I think you need to have a data strategy in place, even when you're looking for data. So the data strategy doesn't start when you have data. It begins when you start looking for the right data. And every case is different, and every kind of project might be different in terms of the type of data that you want to collect first. You might have in mind, for example, a map of the data strategy journey that you want to go through and forward with. And I think that's really useful to have.
I mean, you make a really good point there, but I'm not going to go into it too much because I've just seen the next question. She comes from Stefano Icanconu. I always get his surname wrong.
Stefano
Apologies, Steph.
Iacono, I'll say it. I'm Italian. I can say that.
There we go. I just call him Steph. That's how we get on. Steph, marketing director at the Sixth Sense, right?
Yes.
He asked, why are some organizations unable to move past lead-based marketing, even when ABM would be a better fit?
Very good question. Lead generation is very familiar and comfortable. It's something that's been around for a long time. People feel familiar with the tools and processes. And so that's why they resist sometimes that big shift of mindset that ABM requires. ABM focuses on fewer high value accounts, as we know. It is a full security system to think that lead gen could substitute any ABM program or any ABM strategy. I would actually say that in my mind, when I think about ABM, I think about three different aspects. One is ABM strategy, one is the ABM execution, and one is the ABM MarTech. And organizations, I think they stay anchored to what lead-based marketing feels like because it's simpler, they think it's faster. What they don't think about is that even if it's less resource intensive, the results that you get out of that need to be nurtured in a specific way and do not give the same results as an ABM strategy or program.
Yeah, it's an interesting point as well. And I think, well, I haven't really got too much to add to that really, but it is almost easier to measure the whole lead based kind of approach, isn't it, rather than the account based. So it is kind of like a heavy lift. I mean, trying to prove attribution at the best of times is a bit of a ball ache. I guess it's my podcast, I can say that. But it does require a bit more complexity, and that's, I guess, the thing is with, and I've had an open conversation with Steph about this. It's like that questions come from Sixth Sense, and obviously Sixth Sense and Demand Base are the ones also like kind of pushing this account like narrative as a scoring system. So I always like to try and play devil's advocate to the whole approach because there are other benefits to lead based scoring,
Yes,
for example,
definitely.
but
Yes, but the thing is that what I think what Stefano meant was why don't they think that they can get better results even if they know they could get better results with ABM, if I understood the question rightly. And I think it's all about the fact that ABM requires maturity and requires
yeah.
a big shift into an organizations in terms of collaborations, in terms of tools, in terms of resources, and also in terms of data sources.
Lots of moving parts.
Yes, lots of moving parts.
Challenge 6 came in. This is one of my favorite questions from Mike Davies over at Red Hat. So Red Hat, obviously a big organization.
Yes.
He asked, what is one sacred cow in B2B marketing that needs to be slaughtered, and why haven't you done it yet? Ironically, this follows the MQL question that you've just had, but Laura, what's the answer?
So I don't think there is only one. I think there are a few, and I think that the one that I'm always fighting against, and you cannot slaughter it because it does not depend on you. It's almost like if you want to kill someone or something. Well, let's say something. If you want to destroy something and you can't do it because you're far away from it, so you don't have any kind of reach to that, and that's the fact that there's no unified strategy, I believe, between, as I said before, between teams within an organization. There's no unified strategy usually. So you have marketing working towards a certain goal, and it seems like, sales is aligning when ABM is in place, because ABM created that kind of, mindset. But at the same time, the product team is completely separated most of the times, divided from the strategy, and they get in later. So when I run an ABM program, I usually tend to align more teams, not just marketing and sales, but also product teams, as I said before, customer success teams, partnership teams. I think that siloed kind of mentality is one that needs to be slaughtered, if you want to call it that way.
Yeah, it's pretty brutal. So I love the way you took that. So obviously, I was thinking more channel or metric kind of like thing, what needs to go. But you are so right. You've basically taken this from what's the biggest pitfall, right? Of like why
Yeah.
most ABM programs fail, and I totally agree with you. It's definitely the alignment piece. Yeah. Wow, you've taken that question and just made it better.
Oh, thank you. It just came up to my mind because I see this happening most of the times. And,
Yeah.
a good ABM strategist with good experience is able to actually solve that problem because collaborative workshops put in place, and also, as I said, collaborative tools.
For sure. I mean, we could really dive deep into that. Maybe we'll dive deep into that another time when it comes to like actual alignment. So I'm sure, like across the agencies that you've worked at and the freelance work that you've done, that you've probably encountered that a lot for sure.
Yes.
Question 7, quite a difficult one. Well,
Mm.
I found it originally difficult, but it came in from the legendary Mariska van Burekeren over at Enlightening. She asked, how are companies embedding diversity and inclusion into their marketing strategies?
So I think that authentic storytelling and authentic representation of these target audiences, if you're talking about target audiences in this case, I think so. I'm reading the question again. You can embed diversity by authentically representing your brand and give really an authentic representation of your storytelling at the same time. So do not think only about how the brand resonates, and think about brand confidence and experience instead of brand familiarity. So it's not good enough to just become one of those brands that has huge metrics. It's good to have in place brand confidence strategy, which to me is all into the equation between the experience of the audience, what you're able to deliver against or versus the experience they are wanting to have and expecting from you. So I think that's one of the elements. And then I think there is a way to even I'm talking about B2B, yeah, because many B2C companies already do that.
Well, it's funny because Mariska also has a B2C background as well. So I think you two are going to, yeah, you're thinking about it very similar, which is awesome.
Yes, and also always thinking about the B2B side of things, and because I don't think that we should. We are all people, right? We know that the humanly relevant element always needs to be there, and I do believe that creating a community around messaging, around content consumption, events, partnerships, and however you want to talk to your audience, however many assets you use, however content, doesn't matter what kind of content strategy you go for, because it has to match your objectives. But it needs to have some kind of community sense, and also, what I found is that B2B audiences really love when you don't just reply to their needs and wants and solve their little problem at work, but you actually understand the psychographic elements behind their needs. So when we talk about drivers and triggers, we talk about what they have inside as well, not only what they need to put out to work. Some people have huge responsibilities in some big B2B organizations. They need to make sure they don't only deliver for themselves, but for their own customers, and the way the customers, it reflects on their customers, the way they do it. So it's a huge responsibility. And I think community inclusion, authenticity, and being able to really read through the lines and not only providing a reply to their needs and wants really helps to break the barrier.
Yeah, that's awesome. I really believe in that as well. Like community, I called it like the community economy. Like you got the creator one, but it's almost we're like moving towards the community economy, and it's about like the advocacy within dark social. Obviously, dark social's been around a long, long time, or the term. Um,
And then I
but
was
yeah,
thinking also about
no, it's all
accessible
good.
content, usability of the content, accessible content, for people that have different needs, and they need to, have an easy kind of smooth journey through the content consumption.
For sure, and that definitely gets overlooked. Less so in B2C. I think they're getting pretty good at it now, but definitely in B2C.
Yeah, there's some good examples. There are some good examples in B2C.
Laura, congratulations, you've made it through those 7 questions. The last two little things we ask you is, so just for fun, we build a lot of tools and tech, or we've got a bit of a backlog at the moment of like ABM ideas from our community. But also, I say if you can't think of any invention that's marketing or ABM related, it might be an umbrella that keeps your whole body dry, I don't know. Or it could be like a bath that runs itself, I don't know. If you could invent any tool or technology, what would it be?
I think going back to one of my one of the first questions in my replies, I think it would be great. We have a lot of collaborative tools, right? We have a lot of communications of tools where we collaborate, etc. It would be great to have a tool that actually sets milestones and triggers the rest of the teams, when something either good or bad or new is happening in the journey towards delivering a project. So, for example, if the marketing team had a project in mind and was running a certain campaign, it would be great to have a tool that in real time triggers the other teams and tells them, look, that's what's happening, instead of waiting for reporting, for example. Yeah, I think that could be great.
That's brilliant. No. I definitely can get behind that one. Okay, so it's more execution focused for sure, and it's like automatically prompting, and it's happening in real time, so they're not waiting for like the monthly or even weekly reports. So sometimes that the opportunity's gone at that point. Superb. And Laura, the last thing I'll ask you, just right on time here.
Yeah.
Do you have a question for our next guest?
Yes, I would like to ask, what do you think are the key elements to become a good ABM strategist? And there is nowhere you can study for this. I've trained quite a few younger strategists, junior strategists that didn't know anything about B2B strategy or ABM strategy, and there is nowhere you can study it. There is nowhere you can really learn. There's no university that teaches you that. So what are the key elements to become a really good strategist? And would you put in place a system or a course of study where you can learn how to become one?
Well, maybe ABM Answered might just be that place one day, but no, it's a very good question. My very quick 2 cents on this, because I am very passionate about it, is I do think there is some benefit for marketers if they start off in sales. But I've only realized that recently. I mean, I started off in sales, but there is a lot of disconnect. Because when you work, and you would have found
Yes.
it too, you're in like your own echo chamber. You think that everyone thinks and works and exactly like you. But I've noticed a disconnect where some of the ABMers that I talk to literally have to like write the messaging for sales and like vice versa, or the ABMers can't write the message. I don't know. There's a lot of, I just feel like if you're going to do one job, you should learn how to do the other to go vice versa as a starting point. But
Absolutely.
could be when.
The first key elements I learned about this job come from my father, Lucio Mercurio. My father was an amazing commercial sales director in Italy who won various prizes because he was the first salesperson that actually introduced Lycra into the Italian
No way. That's
business.
awesome.
Yeah, not the first one that produced it, but one of the first, actually the first that introduced the product, the lycra laces in the south of Italy, and then it developed throughout.
You had big shoes to fill, like to
Oh,
follow in
huge!
his
I will never
footsteps.
fill my father's shoes ever. He was incredible, amazing, and such a human kind of. And he had a great partner in his wife, my mother, because she knew exactly how to be the wife of a salesman.
Yeah, I imagine it's a stressful job. Honestly, that's massive. That's huge. Well, there we go then. I will ask that question to a few people, see what answers they come back with. But Laura, thank you so much for joining.
You're very welcome. Thank you for inviting me. Thanks again to the whole team. And I looking forward to looking into the rest of the library and learning even more about you guys and what other peers have shared.
Awesome.